Good morning, welcome to another video. I'm out once again on this section of canal that's closed at the moment due to a broken lock down there. I've come out because I know there'll be no boats because I fancy doing a bit of waggler fishing this morning. I've come to a familiar spot by these reeds over here, as you can see. It's often quite productive. I promised a few videos ago to come back here when it was a bit more overcast, and it is. I've also come to this stretch as well because the wind's off our back here and there's a wood behind us, so it's relatively sheltered. Now, I've had a walk up, I've baited 3 spots we can have a go at, not including this one, which I'm going to start in. I'm not sure what it's going to be like today, to be honest. We've had loads and loads of rain, relatively cold rain for the last 36 hours, 48 hours. I had a pot in the garden, a sort of parallel sided pot I just put outside to take up to the shed, not got round to it, and that has got an inch of water in it. That's how much rain we've had in the last sort of 36 hours. Now it's topped the canal up, the lock bypasses are running through quite strongly. Doesn't seem to be too much tow on here, but I'm not sure what that's going to have done to the fishing. It's certainly probably knocked the water temperatures back, but it's not necessarily a bad thing this time of year. It might be that it's freshened things up, a bit of fresh water gone in, a bit more oxygen gone in. So who knows? It's about 9:30 now. We'll give it perhaps 3 hours. We'll have perhaps an hour here, an hour up there, perhaps half an hour in the 2 spots that I've never fished before that I've baited a bit further on down. And we'll just see how it goes. Hopefully we catch some hybrids, some bream, some roach, who knows what. As I say, I'm going to do some waggler fishing. I have also got my ultralight with me, which I can drop out as a bit of a sleeper rod. We'll just suck it and see. If things are hard going, we'll perhaps put the sleeper rod out as well. If we're catching a few fish, we won't bother. Right, that is enough waffle. Should we crack on, shall we? So bait-wise, very simple, maggots and bread to go on the hook. That's it. And I've got a little bit of sort of 50-50 mix of some white crumb and some census gross gardons in there, which I've just been putting in to various spots. I actually remembered to bring my catapult today. Now I'm thinking I might go on the drop. With this canal, as I mentioned, being closed, it's clearing up. It's not gone too clear. There's about a foot of visibility. Normally it's about an inch. It's like a cup of coffee normally, but it's a nice colour. So I'm thinking perhaps, as I say, we'll go on the drop. We'll perhaps try it anyway, just to see how we get on. Gear wise, I've got my 13-foot Dower Matchman pellet wag, which makes it sound like a very, very stiff rod, but it's not at all. It's perfect for doing this sort of thing. We're all geared up and ready to go, as you can see, which is always a good idea with short sessions that I do. Try and keep my gear set up. It should be set roughly the right depth as well, because last time I used this rod, I was fishing on this stretch. Right. It should be as easy as that. We'll just get our bag stick in, set the net up, and then we'll get cracking. A bit of a hit and run session this morning. Hopefully, as I say, we'll catch a few fish. We'll just have to suck it and see, really. It could be that we don't get a bite. This canal here, it's notoriously difficult. Certainly in my experience. We might do really, really well, or we could quite easily not get a single bite. I've just got a Dower 125M closed face reel on here. This is the one that I got from Stuart at Artisan Angling. He reconditions them and actually builds a new one these days. He's got all the parts that he can build you a new reel should you want one. They're lovely reels, I really like them. I'll link you in up there to his website if you want to go and have a look. Oh, get in. I've got a Drake Canal waggler on there. As I say, I'm just going to fish the bait through the water. We'll just see what happens. See how much tow there is. See, the top of the water is not moving at all, but my float is actually moving, which tells me there is some draw on this canal. So we'll give it perhaps 20 minutes just fishing through the water before we think about perhaps anchoring that bait down. I'm hoping that I just lay a bit of line on the bottom hoping that'll just be enough to check the float as it's running through. So I would like to fish on a drop, but I don't want to start leathering loads of bait in, just in case it's going to be a hard day. And obviously if we're fishing on the drop, we need to keep feeding. And as I say, not sure it's that kind of day really. It's just a case of waiting to see some fish turn up now. So we've got 3 other spots primed. Primed a spot to the left, which is by some more reeds. Spot to the right, which is by a bit of cover. It's actually in the next section down. And I've baited up near some faster water, some oxygenated water as well, down there, just to give us some options. Obviously we don't have to fish them, but it gives us that option. And all the time we're fishing here, those spots are working. They're hopefully getting some fish onto them. All right, there we go, that's a bite. Certainly something up there, right. Well, that's a good sign. At least we know there's some fish here. There's a definite dip on the float there. Clearly keeping that bait still is a good idea. And also having a nice tight line right through, so between rod tip and float and the bait. We're able to see that something happened there. I'm not sure it's a proper bite. Might have just been a liner. But I know there's something there at least. Well, we're about 20 minutes in. Still waiting for our first proper bite. I think that being the case, perhaps we'll break out the ultralight. Sort of double our chances, so to speak. Be interesting to see if anything happens on there. In the meantime, I'll get some maggots back on here, I think. In your face bread didn't do anything. We'll have another half an hour in here. We've probably been here best part of half an hour. We'll have another half an hour before we think about a move. We're perhaps going to have a move just along there, try that other spot, in case the fish are very localised. We're fishing these couple of spots that are usually good for a bite when the fish are having it anyway. All right, that's a bite. There we go, look, put maggots on. Got a bite straight away. All right, something's just jumped out as well. Well, there's a few fish around then, clearly. Skimmer by the looks of it. But it's a start. I had bread out for 10 minutes, absolutely nothing. I've put that in, it's gone straight away. We're off a blank. Well, he's no monster, but perhaps they've turned up now. That'd be good if they have. Well, something else just rolled over there. There's clearly a few fish about now. Suddenly, perhaps they've just suddenly turned up. Who knows? But we've seen more activity in the last 30 seconds than I have the whole time I've been here, including walking up the canal. It's weird, isn't it? Perhaps they just got on the bait. Decided it's time for some food. All I've done is I've got the float shotted correctly, but I've just taken one of the BBs. It's a 4BB. I've just taken one of the BBs, and that's just resting on the bottom. So when we get a bite, it'll either sail away or it will lift as the fish takes the weight of that BB. Alright, so let's grab that. On the way down again. Just as it was sinking. Perhaps we do need to go back on the drop. This is a proper one. Well, we're getting a few bites now, that's good. Clearly turned up. And I'm going to fish on the drop because he grabbed that on the drop and I had one grabbed a minute ago on the drop as well. I've got a shot next to the hook, so it's going down quick and they're still grabbing hold of it. Wonderful. There we go, that's a proper one. Got the maggots in his mouth. Cracking. Definitely need to change this up. There's clearly some fish here. Now we will go back on the drop. We get the bulk of the shot under the float. We've got a couple of number 6s down the line there. Just to get a nice steady drop. As I say, there are a couple of bites there with the bait falling. It was falling fast as well, so I'm hoping if it falls a bit slower, might be the way to go. Right, see if that does anything. Get a few maggots in so they get used to them falling through the water. Well, the float's certainly exiting the swim quite quickly. Without that shot anchor in it. We'll a bit more line on the bottom. Just keep the smell around. Seems to be a few fish about now, so I think it's worth a bit more bait. And there's no actual bait itself in the ground bait either. There's nothing to it really, aside from the ground bait itself. I haven't put anything extra in. I'm just feeding the maggots loose just so I can control it. Well, it's just a bit strange. We've had 2 bites, one which I missed, with a bait flying through the water with a BB next to it. But I've gone onto a sort of naturally sinking bait and I haven't had a bite. Clearly some fish around. All right. Oh, well, that was a bite. Interestingly, I've just put a white and a fluoro maggot on. That's a bit more visible. As you see, most of my maggots are red, probably 95% red, with a few whites in there and a few fluoros. They're just kind of what I've got left over. This continues to be very, very patchy here. Might be worth a move up there. We'll give it another 10 minutes though, see what happens. We'll perhaps have a move. Now I've seen some fish moving up there. I mean, obviously we've had some fish here, but it's very sporadic. I have 2 or 3 bites in sort of 4 or 5 minutes, and then nothing for 10 or 15 minutes. I can't quite get a handle on what's working either. It's sort of a couple of bites where they've grabbed it on the way down, but only when it's sinking really fast. And 1 or 2 bites when it's on the bottom. But the bait that's static and on the bottom, we're not getting any, there we go, we're not getting any bites on, I was going to say. But that worked. What's this? Feels a bit like a roach, but I don't think it is. It's a skimmer. I think it's another skimmer. It is. We're certainly having a few fish, can't complain. Got it. Blimey, certainly wanted them. Oh, cold down the back of my neck, I have to say. What a horrible day. It's been so nice lately. pretty horrible today. Oh, that was on 2 white maggots. I've just been and put a bit more bait into that spot up there where we've seen a fish or two roll, and where I baited up earlier. Just refreshed that. A couple of more golf ball sized balls of ground bait and sort of 50 maggots. So we'll give it perhaps another 10 minutes here. We'll go and have a go up there. It's not going crazy here. There's a few fish about, clearly, but it's not going crazy. I think that being that, and we've got this, as I say, we've got this spot to have a go at, and some spots I've never fished before on the way down that way that we'll have a go in. I think we've probably fished here for at least an hour now. Yeah, good hour and a quarter-ish. Now we're in this snag again. Yeah, I think it's time for a move. We keep getting stuck in whatever it is down there. I think it's giving me false bites as well. Right, we'll have a move. Right, what I've done here, I've baited next to the reeds down to my left. And I've baited out in the middle, so I think I'm going to drop this sort of sleeper rod just down here. See if there's anything in close. Again, we'll put a big lump of bread on. Then we'll float fish out in the middle where I've been dropping bait. Well, for some reason, this canal has just started absolutely tanking it through. Like someone's been opening locks. And as I say, this is supposed to be closed. So I'm not sure what on earth is going on. Someone has opened a lock. Fairly close as well, the way it really moved quickly. Well, that's put a spanner in the works. Right. Oh, that looked like a bite. Although, as I say, the canal's tanking through, so it could have just dragged under from the bottom, but it did look like a bite. Right, it's slowing up again. That's a bite. There we go, look. There's clearly some fish on this bait. A couple of bites now. Fairly quickly. Perhaps this canal moving has got the fish moving. What's this? This is jagging around like crazy. Really going for it. Proper scrap. Got to be a hybrid. It's got to be a hybrid. The way it's going. God, what a scrap. God, proper scrap. I think it is a hybrid. It looks very breamy. There's no way a bream's fighting like this. I imagine it's a hybrid. Or is it a bream? Blimey, if it's a bream, what a scrap. Ah. Well, now the canal's tanking back the other way. Don't know what's going on. Cool. Well, it does look like just a bream in inverted commas, but that's a hell of a scrap. You know what is going on? The canal's now tanking back that way. Very, very strange. Right, let's have a look at this fella. What a scrap that was. I don't think it's a hybrid. But what a scrap. It's a cracking fish. That would explain it. So, as you can imagine, that is totally and utterly wrecked the fishing. As I say, I came here because this is shut. This is a closed section of canal. I spoke to the bloke and he's just like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. It's just absolutely, well, I'm slightly annoyed, can you tell? It is a total waste of time now to try and do anything. We could possibly go for a wander up that way, but he's worked backwards in his boat all the way. Obviously, it's really difficult to steer. I mean, I do understand that, you know, they need to go somewhere. Perhaps they need to empty the toilet. I don't know what. Fill it with water. But it's totally wrecked this. I mean, he's absolutely churned it to oblivion and made it 10 times worse because he's having to go backwards. As I say, he's got sort of reverse thrusters on or whatever it is. And where you saw, it's absolutely annihilated this place. It's like, well, not only is it's not even like it often is, and sort of coffee, tea brown sort of colour. It's horrible, sort of smelly, blackish brown colour. So it's a total waste of time, absolute waste of time. There's no point in doing anything here now. And besides that, they're going to go down to the next lock. He'll be opening that one. That will be flushing through. Be going down to the next one. It'll be flushing through again. So there really is no point, in my mind, in carrying on. The visibility now has gone down to about this much. You know, I had a chat with the guy who was walking up the towpath. He was a little bit stroppy at first about the videoing and stuff. And, oh, what are you doing videoing? I said, you know, explained it to my chat. Oh, you know, I said, I'm not being funny, but you completely wrecked it. Well, it's no different to going forwards. So, well, it is, because you've turned it up even more. And secondly, I wouldn't have come at this time. If it was going to be boats moving, I wouldn't have come. And to be fair, in his defence, he said, oh, yeah, sorry. The only thing I can think really, realistically, is if we go up this way, there's a spot further up there, which is usually good for some bream. And I've had roach and hybrids there in the past. I think the only realistic chance of carrying on fishing is perhaps going up that way. It's a bit of a trek, so we'll have a mini pack down. We'll get up there, I think. You know, they'll have disturbed out the way canal boats move, and especially when they're going backwards, they're very slow, aren't they? So probably an hour ago, he would have disturbed this next spot. So I think the only chance of carrying on the session in any productive way is to get up there. So I think we'll do that. We'll decamp, get off up there, perhaps half a mile, third of a mile, and we'll see what it's like up there. Right, here we are. Now, it's taken me about half an hour to walk up here because I bumped into my mate Buffalo Si, who's doing a bit of filming for his YouTube channel. He's on the next pound down. He's only fishing for an hour or so. We had a bit of a chat. I'll link you in up there and down in the description if you want to go and see what his videos are all about. He makes some very entertaining videos. Now, it's not a great colour here. It's a bit windy as well, which is not surprising because we're on the other side of the towpath here. So rather than being off our back, we've got a bit of a face there, although it is sort of coming from about 10 o'clock. It's not complete facer, but we'll have a go. I'm not holding out too much hope. But as we're here anyway, I thought it was worth giving it a go. We'll perhaps give it, well, a good half an hour and see what happens. Just going to fish across to those reeds over there. I've come to sort of the upwind end, if you like, just to hopefully help things out with line lay, etc. We'll get a bit of bait in. It's still pretty coloured, not surprisingly, after that boat's been through. I'm going to say at least this has had a chance to settle. Alright, it's a bite. Blimey, I was just starting to pack up thinking, oh, I'm going to go home. I hadn't had any indications at all of anything. And then suddenly up comes the float. As I say, I was literally putting a lid on my maggots thinking, I'm going home. God, it's a cracking roach, look at that. Blimey. I'll certainly stay a bit longer now. Wow, that's a lovely roach. He is no beast. Out of a canal, that is a wonderful fish. Absolutely wonderful. Well, if he's down there with a few of his mates, I think we should give it a bit longer. 3 minutes time. I'd bought the rod in. Definitely worth a bit longer though, because there's some roach around. Usually means there's not any bream around as well. Bream seem to bully the roach out. And interestingly, that was on a white and a fluoro. Well, it's been worth the walk up here to catch that lovely fish. There we go. Well, all of a sudden we're catching a few. Clearly moved in. What's this? If this is a roach, it's a good one. Just trudging around. I haven't seen it yet. It's not. It is a skimmer, by the looks of it. Oh, fooled me. Thought that was a decent bream then. Decent roach, I should say. So, hook's dropped out in the net. Fab. Well, not a monster. But there's some fish here. We've had a good 3 hours at it now. An hour of which I haven't actually fished. What with packing away after that boat came through and walking up here and having a chat with Si. I thought that was a bite. Oh, have I missed that? Float was sinking. Went down and down and down and down. And I thought, is that, or is it just a bit of tow or something? Then up it shot. That's a bite. A couple of dips on the float. Might be a bit of a liner. That's a bite, surely. Yeah. Got little indications. And down it went. Here's a better fish. Well, we're having a few, aren't we? After the session down there was wrecked. There we go. I say, they do seem to be liking these fluoros. There he is. A few battle scars from spawning, by the looks of it. Or should I say, she. Well, I've had a little go trying to fish without a shot anchor in the float in place. It's not having any of it. I'm just getting towed along. Even when I lie sort of 4 inches of line on the bottom, still getting towed. The float's getting towed and then it's getting snagged up. So I've gone back to having an AA on the bottom, and I'm undershotted on the float by a BB. So by putting an AA on, it means I'm overshotted by a BB, and it's working, as you can see. I hope that makes sense. Shot off then. These are very lively, these fish. We're bending this rod. A scrap. That's a bream. fab. Really, got him. Got there in the end. This is cracking. We're having some good sport now. Seems to be doing the job. Tiny little hook on. I just changed to an 18. So I got snagged up and lost half my hook link. I'm going to have to get the screws on this. It's so small. There we go. Lovely. And that worked. As I say, that worked really well. As I was explaining, when I got that bite, I've basically taken a BB off proper shotting of this rig, stuck an AA on the bottom, so that if I'm fishing in a slightly deeper area, the float will go under, so I'll know. If it's a bit shallower, the float will come out of the water, so I can just tension up and get it right. It also means that when I get a bite, if the fish swims off with a bait, then obviously the float goes under. Or if they just pick it up, take the weight of that AA, the float rises out of the water, because then it's undershotted by a BB. I hope that will make sense. Makes sense in my head anyway. And it's certainly working. It's a little bit tricky doing this because I'm fishing sort of on the slope, as it were, of the canal as it comes up the other side. If I go a bit further, it's shallower. If I come a bit closer, it's deeper. So I'm having to sort of fiddle it a little bit. But it's certainly working, like I say. Certainly can't complain. I'm not going to give it too much longer though. I've got to go before too long. Oh, that's just dragged under for some reason. This doesn't seem like a bite. I think it's just rolled down the slope. Oh, it was a bite. I thought it had just rolled down the slope. What have we got here? Is it a roach? It's a roach. That's cracking. It's a roach. I think we lift him just about. Wonderful. Just really, really slowly crept under. That did then. The float, which I just thought there was something amiss. Catching some lovely fish and some roach as well. Still no hybrids. It's bizarre. They don't seem to like me this year. Well, it's been sort of 2 hours since that boat passed us down there. So probably about 3.5 hours since the boat came through this bit. So clearly that's long enough for these fish to get back on it, and I'm a little bit surprised in a way we've managed to get them feeding again at effectively what is lunchtime. Although that sounds a bit contradictory, but you know what I mean. Oh, bite. Just leave my mate Mick a message. Feels like a roach. Here's a roach. Oh, we're getting the roach going now. This is cracking. Completely different shape to the last one. That's a bite. There we go. Well, this feels another reasonable fish. Been a while coming, this bite. Feels a proper fish. Blimey. We've got a slab, I think. Some water. What a scrap. They're really fighting today, these fish. Not even that big. Blimey. Right, he's all wrapped up now. I'm pretty sure he's hooked in the right place. He's wrapped himself up. Yeah, he's hooked in the pointy end. Well, that's cracking. We've turned what could have been an absolute nightmare around by dropping into this different spot. Certainly is. He's hooked in the right place, look. Definitely the biggest one of the day. We will have another 5 in case we can winkle another one out, but we have got to go very shortly. There he is. Cracking fish. There we go. 3. Looks like we are going to winkle out one more fish, and it's a roach. Little roach to finish. That's been absolutely cracking. Wonderful. Already I've got to go. We went through 20 minutes or so not getting any bites, but it's picked up again now, but I really have got to go. So that's that. No choice. No choice but to go. Now, I'm out again over the bank holiday weekend. I'm going down to Linear, do a little bit more tench fishing and possibly some carp fishing. I'm getting on Hunt's Corner. So that's where you'll see me next. Hopefully we'll catch some fish. Hopefully we'll have a decent session. Now the water's warmed up a bit, but for now, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Bit of a strange session. Tight lines, enjoy your own angling. Many thanks to the channel patrons for your fantastic support. And I'll see you again over at Linear.